Before we start today's episode, we'd like to thank our 2025 Beefmaster Banter sponsors. Your support not only helps with the production of the podcast, but more importantly, it helps continue to provide the forward momentum needed for the Beefmaster breed. We'd like to thank Jones Beefmasters. Secondly, SEBA, the Southeastern Beefmaster Breeders Association. Valor Cattle Company, Rock and R&B Beefmasters, Beef, the Beefmaster Educational Endowment Foundation, JCS Farms Beefmasters, Emmons Ranch, Lissy Beefmasters, C&M Ranches, G&M Cattle Co., and Sea Shepherd Beefmasters. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get into this month's episode. Hello and welcome to the Beefmaster Banter. My name is Hannah Nixon and I serve as the marketing director here at BBU, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Lance Bauer. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning. Thanks for getting on. Thanks everybody for listening. And we got a special guest with us today, Mr. Trey Shear, our president, and getting ready for a little cold snap.
Absolutely, getting ready for one here this beautiful January morning, getting ready for the ice and the snow, and good thing we run Beefmaster cattle that can handle it all, right, Lance?
Oh. Absolutely.
Well, Trey, before we get started, I was hoping that you guys could give us just a little bit of a summary about what we were going to go over today and kind of your overarching takeaway from the board meetings this past weekend.
No, I think today we're going to kind of go over what we went over in the board meetings, and we had a strategic planning meeting with our board and our committee chairs out there in Reno. And first, I want to kind of touch on something that's outside of that, and that's we went to Reno and we got our convention in Reno in October, and I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great time. Trey, you got to see the hotel and the facilities and everything for the first time. What's your thoughts there? Just try to get people to come and experience it.
It's going to be really exciting, Lance. Like Lance said, that was one of our main reasons to host those meetings out there to start the year off, was to get everybody's mind wrapped around the pepper mill. And I told Lance and AJ they really sandbagged us whenever they told us that the place was a pretty decent place. It's a gorgeous facility. It's a super luxurious hotel with all the amenities, great facilities, great meeting rooms, great restaurants, exciting venues for us to have events. I am super amplified about how the 2026 convention is going to go. And having our board meeting out there allowed our board members to take that message back home to their constituents and really express how important the convention is to our breed and how exciting this one's going to be. So, yeah, we wanted to start the year off with a strategic planning meeting, like Lance said, so that we could kind of trickle down to the committees what we wanted them to work on throughout the year. And I thought that was a critical thing so that our board could give some direction, the committee chairs. So we invited the committee chairs and the board of directors out there, and then formed the strategic planning meeting on Friday afternoon, then had our regular in-person board meeting out in the Western States, guys. And we haven't done anything out in the Western States for a long time. John Evangelo and the crew out there is working hard to reinvigorate that, revitalize that satellite. And that's something we're going to hit on more later in the topics today, is satellites.
I think it was great. And like Trey mentioned, we did that strategic planning session to push forward and continue pushing forward for the breed. I think you've heard Trey or read Trey's articles, and it's talked about moving forward as a breed and what we're going to have to look like, smell like, feel like, taste like in the future. And that strategic planning meeting was great. And I'll just kind of start off. We hit on some stats and some trends there, and we got really, really honest with ourselves as a breed and where we are. And I think the overarching theme that we saw there is, in the last 20 years, we haven't seen growth in membership, registrations, transfers, or the overall market share of Beefmaster cattle. Yes, it's an exciting time. We're doing some really exciting things in terms of research with Beefmasters, and the market's been on fire for us, but we haven't seen a huge increase. And that's where we started with, is getting really honest and where do we want to go. And I kind of I'll let Trey touch on that too, is where do we want to go and what are our overarching goals?
Yeah, like Lance said, we really wanted to look at where we're going with this direction and this marketing plan or the breed plan, the strategic planning. And we wanted to look at what we've been doing for the last 20 years and, like you said, be honest with ourselves. And we basically flatlined. The good news is we haven't lost membership. We haven't gone down in any ways. We've stayed steady and strong as a breed. That's all been positive. The downside is we're not moving. So we have to decide, are we going to get serious about really advancing this breed of cattle that we all love and move it forward and expand our footprint in the industry? Or are we just going to be content with being a smaller breed and just sitting where we're at? And I don't think anybody likes to just sit in mediocrity. And if you're sitting still, you're not growing. And you know where that eventually leads over time. It's going to be a downhill over time if we don't get aggressive, because the other breeds aren't slowing down. And this is a competitive world. This is a capitalist market and free enterprise. This isn't all fun and games. And so I think with the planning meeting, we really wanted to dive in that, be honest with ourselves, like Lance said, look at the stats, look at the finances, look at the membership, look at what percent of the market we are as a breed, and kind of go from there. Then in the future, yeah, the main focus is increase market share. That's what we all want. If we increase market share, we're going to increase membership. We've got to increase membership involvement and efficiencies, and then the business efficiencies at BBU. And so that was the main focus, is how we go about looking at 5, 10, 15, and 20 and 30 years out in the future.
And I agree. I think that was our biggest focus. I think we got a lot done. And I really think that a lot of people were very honest. We had some really, really great, really positive conversation about how to move the breed forward. And we kind of broke everything down into 4 key areas, including financial planning, membership, marketing, and then what we're going to call breed design. And I think to start out with is financial planning. Is what we want to do is we want to be good stewards of the money that is there and utilize that to benefit our breeders and benefit the breed and expand the breed. So I think I'll let Trey dive into what we kind of decided to do there on the financial side for a 5 to 10 year plan.
Yeah, I want to first give kudos to our past board and most recent past board, and even going back to Bob Siddons probably at the Bernie days. They made some strong financial decisions. They put us in a good spot early on. Over the last year, we have really strengthened our financial position. So I want the membership to know that BBU is strong financially and sound. And thanks to Kelsey and our great staff at BBU now, we are going to be in a good place, and we're going to balance those budgets and do all the things we need to. So that's the first thing I want to let the membership know, is we're in a great position. Second thing is, now that we're in a great position, what do we do with the funds on hand? Do we look at a building? Do we look at structure of the business? What do you do? And I think the group overall said, you know, where we're really weak is marketing. We really need to focus some dollars on marketing. A building is cool, but it's not going to make our breed grow. It's not going to really help the membership. So let's take our funds and do a little better job of investing those funds to get a higher rate of return, so that we can take those dividends then and spend that off into marketing, and not double our marketing budget, but get darn close to that. And then with a little better budgeting throughout the year, get the marketing up. Because if we're going to increase market share, we can't do it without telling everybody what we've got.
No doubt. And I'm obviously a little bit biased here, but I'm so excited about putting a little more momentum behind our marketing focus and getting the word out about all of the good that the Beefmaster breed has to offer in multiple facets of the industry. And I'm excited about showcasing our breed at NCBA here soon, and making sure people hear, you know, Beefmaster isn't to be forgotten. We're going to be growing, and we've got a lot to say and a lot to do in the years forward.
Yeah, we've got a lot of horsepower now in the office, Hannah, with you on the team and all the other folks there. And we've got great ideas and youthful energy and creativity and ingenuity. Now we have to give them the funds to go out there and express that. And I think that's what we're going to do with the financial aspects on this, and then stay strong across as a breed, not go backwards again.
Absolutely. And I love it too. And everybody knows I'm not a marketing person. I'm not a marketing genius.
Oh,
So
come on, Lance, come on.
I know the value of it, but that's not
We
my
de-
strong suit.
we depend on you for the science of it and the direction, the leadership. You've been doing a great job too, by the way, bud.
Thank you. The next thing, like I said, we talked about memberships, and the members are what makes this organization. And I think sometimes it's we lose a little bit of track of that. We lose some touch points with them. And I think that's kind of the direction we want to move with membership, is increasing our touch points with members, especially new members, and keeping the engagement, as well as field days and increased educational opportunities for BBU to be showcased. Trey, let you add onto that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, for on the membership side, I'm sure that with over 2,000 active members plus another 1,500 lifetime and junior members, and we've got a great membership in this organization and a good size membership. Actually, I mean, we have a large membership compared to other breeds on a per registration basis. But anyway, I know a lot of people sometimes think they're not being heard or that the breed organization is doing things and they're not listening to the membership. That is totally not the case. We are hearing you, we're watching the message, but we rely on grassroots. I mean, Lance can't communicate with 3,500 members a day, neither can I. And, it's just impossible for the staff to take all those calls. So, from a grassroots, how do we establish what we have in the satellites or reestablish them to better serve the members? Get the messages out there, get more revitalized, like I talked about earlier, through things like the various satellite groups that maybe have been a little quieter over the years. How do we look at the structure of satellites? Are there things that need to be fixed? Are there things that we can tweak a little bit to make them a better and stronger part of the association? But getting membership involved is critical. We need the efficiencies of the members. We need the members to go out and get involved, not just on a in theory basis, but actually diving into on the business basis. Let's get our memberships out there really registering and transferring more cattle. Let's record those P numbers. Let's get involved in these EPDs. We cannot improve this breed if everybody keeps doing the same thing. And so membership involvement is going to be critical, as well as reaching out with the satellites and getting the grassroots efforts pulled up.
Yeah, I think we talked so much, earlier about spreading the word about Beefmaster to non-Beefmaster parties, but I think it's equally as important for us to make sure that we're sharing the word and sharing educational opportunities and what's new in the breed with breeders themselves and members. And, that's something that I think that we've all talked about in office of being a major goal. Despite being a small staff, we're excited about trying to do a bit more of that here in 2026 as well.
Well, I think we have the right tools in place now, Hannah. I mean, with social media and internet, and then a staff now that understands and wants to use that. And it's going to be up to our memberships to go out there and stay connected. We can't put out the messages, we can't do the videos and learning sessions and put stuff out on Facebook. And I can't write articles, and Lance can't write articles, and nobody reads them.
No doubt.
That's a challenge. So if the membership really wants to get serious about being involved and being in the know, hey, it takes two to tango, and they've got to read and involve and share and like and do all the things y'all do on Face Chat and Instabook and all those places.
I love it.
And I think, we talked about it at the beginning with the financial, and I forgot to mention this, is we are going to have key performance indicators for everything we do in these 5 years. And as the market changes, we'll have more strategic planning meetings to make sure that we don't need to shift something a little bit. But the next thing we talked about in the financial is we talked about increasing our marketing budget. And the next thing we'll talk about is marketing. And I think we wanted to get a little more strategic, a little more digital with our marketing and reach out in some different ways and really reach out to commercial buyers, bull buyers and commercial female buyers, I think is one of the big themes that we talked about there. And Trey, I'll let you expand on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, if our main focus is increase market share, right, then it's going to create the marketing. We can do that through two ways. We can have a supply derived increase in market share, or we can have a demand derived increase in market share. And ideally we have both, right? We have increased demand and we continue to increase supply, because just supply by itself will drive the price down, and just demand by itself with no supply will leave a bunch of bull buyers out there without anything to go find. So I think it's critical that we do both. And those key KPIs or key performance indicators are something we're going to use moving forward. I know Hannah's already done that in a marketing by looking at how many views and clicks and increased exposure we've had. But I think in marketing, we've got to target that commercial buyer. That's going to be the point of growth for everything. And so with those funds, going out there and using our technologies and replacing ads into probably more effective areas, not saying we're not going to do traditional print ad. Of course, we're going to do traditional print ad. The beauty is with an increased budget, we can keep the traditional print ad that we've had in place and then go out and add even more marketing, not just e-blast, not just social media, but more direct marketing through some of the methods that are out there, and get creative with some of the exposure to go out and get these commercial bull buyers.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm the first to say, in especially a traditional industry, that it makes so much sense to be balanced across different marketing channels. Of course, it's exciting, all of the new things we can do with digital marketing. And I love bringing in a little bit of that expertise and being especially more targeted about hitting the right audiences with the right message. And in this case, commercial bull buyers with the message of what Beefmaster cattle have to offer. But I'm with you, Trey. I think it's a mistake to forget about our print advertising opportunities. And so Lance and I, since I started, have tried to be a lot more strategic about, okay, where are we putting that print advertising message, and where can we be more strategic about where we put that and what we say in those messages. So
you know what else is cool about this, Hannah, too, is this is a strategic planning, a long-term plan. We were talking 5, 10, 20 years out, and we know we're in a generational changeover right now. We're seeing a lot of the ranchers that are 65 and over in the next 5 to 10 years will be transferring probably a lot of the responsibilities, maybe even some of the control or the entire operation over to the next generation that right now are in their 30s and 40s, probably, if you look at a 20-year age gap in there. So as we market, we're going to be, with this newer technologies, we're going to be hitting the market of the future. We want the bull buyer of the future. We're not worried about what we do today to sell bulls this year. Yeah, that's great. But what do we do to sell bulls 5 years from now, 10 years from now? That's how we're going to gain market share. And it starts with hitting these younger guys, these comers, and without losing focus, obviously, on the current market and our older members as well.
absolutely. And you mentioned how, we've kind of dug into our reach and our views and our clicks, all of the analytics that show where we've been in the past with our marketing. And something that was interesting to me is that 75% of our audience falls between that age bracket of 25 to 54 years old. And in past audiences that I've analyzed, that number, especially again in a traditional industry like we're in, is a bit higher, right? And so it's intriguing that we're hitting that, demographic in the core decision-making portion of the beef cattle industry. And I think that's really exciting for our members and what we can do with their messaging.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing that we really hit on after marketing, and it was where we got a real chance to take a look at ourselves and be extremely honest with where we are as a breed and where we want to go, is what we call breed design. And we've sat here and we've preached it. Trey's been in this breed much longer than I have, but we've talked about the maternal value of a Beefmaster cow. And I think that's something we can't forget. But I think the thing that we often forget and we haven't dove into enough is we've got to increase our carcass. So we've got to get better on marbling. We can't just sit there and rely on another breed to carry us. If we say, well, if you cross with us, it'll be just good enough. We've got to make sure that we don't hurt them. And then the other thing, one of the biggest trends that I've seen in the industry is moving towards polled cattle. And I think that's something we need to look at. And again, with all of this, it's not a single trait selection, but we need to move towards all of that.
Yeah, Lance, I mean, this is where it gets fun and interesting, right? Because for 25 years, I've been a cattle breeder. I'm more of a marketeer now, but have a lot of duties consulting breeders as well. And so we have to look at the stats that you mentioned earlier. If we flatline for 20 years, what does that mean? Well, that means that people don't hate our cattle, right? Because we haven't gone down. We're doing something right. We know we have the best mama cow out there in the world. Sometimes we haven't done a great job of proving that through research and data and some of that kind of things. And we have that coming down the pipe. And through Beef Foundation, and please support beef, it is critical to the future of this breed. Through the Beef Foundation, we're going to get some of those research dollars in there that are going to show that the Beefmaster cow really is the best cow out there on the market today. But that's today. Again, guys, we're talking 5, 10, 20 years down the road. What do we do with this breed to increase the look? The other part about the flat line is we're not increasing. That means we haven't done something with the cattle that the customer is wanting, because you could take a breed like Wagyu, for instance, probably affectionately the ugliest animal that's probably ever been created on the face of the earth, but they're also highly effective at a trait that some of the commercial market found a need for, and that animal found a niche. Why haven't we discovered that niche? Why haven't we exploited a niche? Why haven't we done a better job of going out there and grabbing that market and possibly breed design? So we get back to the cattle themselves. Yes, we like Beefmaster cows to look the way we like them to look, but what does our customer want? You know, I always tell people, if they want a purple giraffe, I'm going to make purple giraffes. And if we're serious about business and we're serious as a breed about increasing market share, then we have to be serious about looking at our cattle and saying, what do we have that's good? And what do we need to change to be more palatable to the market? Not just palatable, but desirable to the market. What do we need to do? Lance hit on it. You know, we've got the proven maternal that nobody else has at the level we have. We just have to prove it. Now, how do we fix the other things? We've got to make the cattle probably a little more modern, for whatever that term means in today's world, maybe a little more Taurusy looking while keeping the indicus traits, also making the cattle have higher efficiency numbers and higher efficiency and convenience traits. Lance mentioned poll. That's going to be critical. You look at the generation we're targeting now, the 25 to 45, 50-year-olds, most of them have never dehorned a calf in their life if they're in a commercial world, and that's because of the high influence of Angus and other poll breeds that are out there. And so if we're going to attract that young member 10, 20 years from now, and our animals still have horns on them, we're not going to be considered an option. Just flat out, we have to be honest with ourselves on that. And there's nothing efficient about dehorning a cow, from the labor it takes to the weight loss as well. So that's a trait, one of much. Lance also talked about the carcass traits. You know, yes, carcass in some breeds is everything. Yes, we don't want to get single trait selective towards it, but guys, we have all the genetics we need to be a top carcass breed as well. There's no reason to say let's settle for mediocrity and just be good enough. That's like telling your kid that C's on a report card are good enough. If you tell them that, get ready for a bunch of F's and D's, right? We're going to go out there and be on the straight A honor roll, guys. We're going to push the needle. We've got the genetics to do it. We just have to get serious about doing it. And I think our new members are seeing a lot of this push. You take programs, I'm going to use Next Gen for an example, because Derek and team over there at Next Gen have done a great job of getting aggressive of it, because they see where the rubber meets the road there. And there's other genetics out there in our breed through all the sectors of it that have these. If our members will get serious about selecting for the better carcasses, selecting for the poll cattle, selecting for the solid colored cattle that are cleaner and neater in type, that show muscle expression, we're going to create market share, guys, because that's what the breeders and the commercial cattlemen are looking for. Now, we've got time to do this, but we can't dilly-dally around. We have to get serious.
And I mean, absolutely, I agree with everything you said, Trey. And I think, again, this kind of wraps up what we talked about in that strategic planning meeting. And now we're going to have some meetings with those committee chairs and get some things on the docket. When we did that planning meeting, my whole thing was we need to set these goals and these reachable outcomes for the breed. We don't need to identify how to get there in the meeting. And I think we did a really good job of set what are measurable outcomes. And now with these committees, we'll see, okay, how do we get to those measurable outcomes? And we'll task those committees this year with doing things that make us able to reach that. And like I said, we've got to keep the foot on the gas. We've got to keep moving forward. We can't be comfortable with mediocrity, like Trey said. I really want to see some growth in this breed. We've got all the potential in the world to do something great. So we need to do that. But again, everybody needs to stay positive. Everything we do is for the betterment of the breed. So, Trey, anything else to kind of wrap up where we were?
I mean, as people listen to this, I want them to know that these ideas and these sectors were talked about and hit on, and the whole goal was to pass these ideas down to the various committees. In my articles, I always invite the membership to reach out to the committees, reach out to the board of directors, reach out to the staff with your ideas and comments. And a lot of times it falls on deaf ears. I invited the people in my to comment to the board of directors and committee chairs, and I polled them, and not a single person said anybody reached out to them about that kind of stuff. And so before you sharpen your pitchforks and get ready to get mad about something that's done, I want the membership to remember that this is an organization that has a structure, that has ways for you to be heard, for you to get involved, and we're going to do that through committee stuff. We didn't vote on a single one of these things, Lance, in our board of directors meeting the other day. These were ideas that we wanted the committees to pass down and work through. So, hey, you see the committee list is printed, it's on the website, it's in the magazine. If you have an idea, you're serious about one of these sections, whether it be satellite growth, whether it be breed design, whether it be marketing, whether it be the finance, we have all of these committees in place. Reach out to these people, let them know what you think. Tell them where you think the money ought to be spent. Tell us what we think we ought to do with the cattle. Tell you what you need as a member, and then we'll get that going through. And then the board looks at the big picture at the end. It's not an easy task. I've been on it for 6-7 years now, and I want to tell you, this board of directors is probably the most selfless board that I've ever been involved with. They're really looking at what's best for the long term of the breed and not self-interest. And this group has been working together great. And I want to thank our board of directors for all of that. I know a lot of membership probably thinks it's a dark, smoky room where backdoor deals happen like Washington, D.C. And there's nothing further than the truth than that. We've tried posting board meetings online. You can come sit in on a board meeting. All the things, just depends on how involved you want to get. But exciting times to come. It's going to be exciting to see what our committees do with some of these ideas between now and July when the summer meetings are held, and everybody's welcome to attend those meetings, and what we can do, how progressive we're going to be or how progressive we're not going to be. And I think it's up to the membership to decide, to have that real honest conversation with ourselves. Are we going to be a business breed that's going to go out and grow market share and be relevant in beef industry 30 years from now? Or are we going to be relegated to a novelty breed that just shows some cattle and it looks like a Scottish Highlander or something out there, or a miniature Hereford? It is your decision, and we'll see where that goes over the next 20 years.
I think that's fantastic. As someone who's still relatively new to the breed, I would be excited as a member to see that not only is our board so passionate and selfless, but also it's like Lance said at the beginning, you can't make positive change without getting a little uncomfortable. And it sounds like y'all were able to do that this past weekend. And I'm so excited about the future of the breed. And I hope our membership shares that and can share the positivity, especially in a, market like today's.
Absolutely. And Trey mentioned it, coming to the summer meetings. Those will be the 8th through the 10th here in College Station, Texas. Everyone is welcome. If you want to get on a committee, contact me here at the office. Contact the office. They can let me know or email me, and we can work on things like that, getting on committees, pushing forward. So show up to those meetings, show up to convention. That's where you're going to get the meat of things. And we're going to have speakers, I think, that are very commercially focused this year to kind of tell us where we need to go and what we need to do as a breed. So get to convention, and I'll encourage you to register early. So start watching pretty soon for some stuff coming out in the next 2 months about convention. Register early. There'll be a price break. if you register early.
I love those savings. Well, thank you guys so much for giving us a good summary and overview of this past weekend. I'm so excited to go into summer meetings with all of the big plans that, y'all were able to discuss. And I'm just so thankful I got to start my day and chat with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah. And just everybody remember to keep battling status quo, and onward we go.
Amen. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. And finally, thank you to the listeners who joined us today. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and we're so excited to continue to bring you great content from the Beefmaster breed. Please know that we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banter. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We can't wait to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.